Yeah, so as I've been thinking about the spiritual disciplines that we've been working through and kind of slowly starting with the church and the series Apprenticing with Jesus, it's reminded me of this concept of a rule of life that I heard about just about over a year ago. And it's this idea of kind of different practices or relational rhythms that go throughout your whole life and not just one area. It's this idea, a rule comes from the word trellis, often used in reference to a vineyard, and this idea of a structure to support the vines growing. And so basically a rule of life is the structure for growth in our own lives to be like Jesus, become like Jesus, and to do what Jesus did. So last year, right after I kind of heard of this idea of a rule of life, COVID hit the world. And one of my close friends and I, we sat down and we decided we didn't just want our lives at home to be passive and complacent, but we wanted to be able to grow and to grow closer to Christ in that season. And so we sat down together around the campfire, we wrote out different ideas, and then now moving to a new province, a new place, and having new rhythms of life, I really see the importance of how am I going to continue in this new season to be with Jesus, to become like Jesus, and to do what Jesus did. So a rule of life kind of looks at basically the habits you have every day, every week, every month, and like annually as well. And it works through a bit of categories, you could call them, about what different areas of your life you want to implement these rules or these guides for practicing and growing. So the first kind of main category is being with Jesus. And so there's two subcategories that have been defined under this, and those are abiding and your mind. So abiding looks at what are your spiritual practices that you are being with Jesus in. So for me, I like to wake up every morning and I go through a little devotional and I prayer journal what I'm praying through for that day, that morning. That's just one of my examples that I find really helpful as I start a day. The second category, mind. What am I filling my mind with? For me, I like to read at least a chapter a day if I can, to keep my mind thinking not just about my own thoughts, but what are people in the world saying? What might God be trying to say through me, through those words, and just kind of starting to think critically about life. The second main category is becoming like Jesus. And so one of those categories is your body, and it's looking at what are you doing to nourish your physical body? Are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? Are you making sure you drink enough water and get enough sleep every night? And depending on what season of life you're in, that might be different. The second category is relational. Are you in relationship with your community, both the community of your church, but also the community that you live in geographically, and making sure that you're connecting with them, maybe over meals when you can, or just through having connection with people. And then the last category in becoming like Jesus is rest. Are you taking a Sabbath day? Are you taking time away from your phone daily or weekly or even annually? And what does that look like? And then the last category, as the main category, is to do what Jesus did. And this looks like the two subcategories are your work and your money, but also the gospel and hospitality. So under work and your money, it's what are you doing with your money? Why are you working the job you're working? And are you being a good steward of that time and that money, those funds that are coming in? So it could look like tithing to the church. It could look like donating money to an organization that's a charity for the community. And then under gospel and hospitality, it's looking at, are you sharing the gospel with your coworkers, with your neighbors, with your friends at school? And also, are you being hospitable, and are you maybe treating people to coffee here and there, even though you might want to be saving the money yourself? Or are you being embracing of the people around you in a loving, kind way like Jesus did? Yeah, I think if you think about your own life and you think about what your daily, weekly, monthly rhythms look like, you do have habits, whether you recognize it often or not. Whether that's you wake up and you do the same thing, or every Saturday you spend your time doing this, you have a rule of life already. And so by intentionally thinking through and planning out a rule of life, it's a practical way to practice the way of Jesus, to really truly apprentice with Jesus, not to just hear about it on a Sunday morning or maybe talk about it at a small group during the week, but it's implemented and lived out through your everyday, every week, every month, and yearly life. We're going to be sending out some resources to help support you as you start thinking about this. but we do encourage you, sit down as an individual or as a family and start looking at what kind of rule of life do we want to implement in this season to help us apprentice with Jesus.